Well, thank you. I wanted to thank everybody for taking a look at this rate study video. It's a little bit unique, but we are in a little bit unique times with the COVID-19. We'd typically be having a council workshop to go over these issues, but since we aren't able to do that, we'll do it the best way possible, and that is I'll just introduce this subject for you, and we have some subject matter experts who will be talking after me, explaining the details. The first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Gary Riedner. I'm the Moscow City Supervisor, and I've been in my position since 1992. Moscow is a full-service city, which is to say that we provide not only governmental public safety type services, but we also provide water, sewer, and garbage utility services as well. In some cities, those are provided by private entities, but in Moscow, the city is responsible for that. Utility services are a little different because they aren't paid for with taxes, they're paid for with rates. So if you're a customer of the utility, you get water service, sewer service, garbage service, you pay a fee for that just as you would to a private vendor. Our Idaho code dictates that rates for these utilities must be equivalent to the value of services that are provided to the public or the customers. And rates include all of those things, all of the costs of providing the service, including operations, maintenance, and capital improvements, or in other words, capital costs. Typically, rates are broken down into two components. Base rates, which are rates which are identical to other customers in the same class, that is to say residential versus business, which may further be broken down for businesses determined by the type of business that is the customer. And then the second component of rates is what we call consumption. Consumption is calculated on the actual use of the commodity or the service by the individual customer. Balance of the two rates helps us to have a healthy mix of consistent funds for operations of the utility, while also allocating costs as much as practicable to those customers who are using more of the system. Rate studies serve several purposes. First, they require that rates be revisited every 5 to 6 years in order to make sure that they are fair and equitable, including revisiting those customer classifications which I just spoke about. Secondly, they act as a check on the system to determine that operations and capital plans are up to date and funded appropriately. And lastly, they allow citizens to participate in the rate setting process. The current rate study has been underway for many months, and during that time there have been updates to operations and capital plans, but there have also been questions regarding customer classifications, particularly in the areas of restaurant base rates and the way that mixed uses, or separate types of businesses, typically in older buildings which are served by the same water meter, and how those mixed use rates are structured. Residential and business water rates are structured using both the base rate and the consumption component. Residential sewer rates are a set base rate with no regard for consumption, while business sewer base rates and consumption are set using a number of factors depending upon the classification of the business. The different factors utilized in determining these rates will be explained later in this video. So without further ado, I'll send you on to the subject matter experts who will help us all in understanding how the rate study works. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Evan Timar, and I am the Water Reclamation Public Utility Manager. I would like to take this time to tell you about the City of Moscow Water Reclamation and Reuse Facility, or better known as the WRF, our sanitary sewer conveyance system that carries the sewage into the reclamation facility, and our sewer utility budget. The Water Reclamation and Reuse Facility was originally constructed in 1918, and it consisted of 2 large septic tanks with contact beds for secondary treatment, and it has evolved dramatically over the years. 102 years later, it is now the most complex and costly facility owned by the city. We are a state-of-the-art biological nutrient removal facility with advanced tertiary phosphorus filtration that can remove all of our major contaminants associated with our National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit. Moscow's current BNR facility was constructed in 2002. It uses beneficial bacteria to remove nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus from the water before it is discharged into Paradise Creek. If not removed, these harmful nutrients in our effluent can cause a harmful imbalance in the creek, causing it to become overly enriched with minerals and nutrients. Chronic symptoms of overenrichment include low dissolved oxygen, excessive algae growth, fish kills, murky water, and depletion of desirable vegetation. Water quality regulations have evolved rapidly, and so has our facility. With the addition of our advanced tertiary phosphorus filtration system in 2010, our facility has not only met, but it has exceeded in the removal requirements of these harmful nutrients. However, to ensure compliance with all of our MPDS-related parameters, the City of Moscow will be required to reduce the temperature of our effluent during the warm weather months. Our permit contains a limit on what effluent temperatures we can discharge into Paradise Creek. This requirement in our permit will necessitate a significant engineering solution in order for us to assure compliance. As we look into the future needs of the utility, it is important that we plan for and fund these activities in order to protect the environment and stay in compliance with our NPDES permit. Let's talk about another vitally important component of the city's sewer utility. That would be the conveyance system. The conveyance system is a network of about 85 miles of pipe, ranging in sizes from 4 inches all the way up to 36 inches in diameter. It also includes 4 sewer lift stations that pump the water from low points to higher points in their associated force main lines. The maintenance and operations of a conveyance system requires very specialized equipment to provide internal inspection and cleaning of the pipes and manholes. Sewage discharged into the conveyance system can differ greatly between classes of users. For example, restaurants discharge sewage that puts a greater demand for treatment on the system because of higher amounts of fats, oils, and grease, also known as fog, and higher total suspended solids concentration, which lead to a higher biochemical oxygen demand. The problem occurs when oil and grease liquefy at the higher water temperatures used to wash dishes, but then later cool and solidify in the sewer lines. Higher concentrations of fog require increased cleaning and treatment, and therefore higher maintenance costs to the system. When determining the cost to operate the sewer utility, we have to consider cost of routine maintenance and operations, things such as pipe cleaning, root abatement, video inspections, wastewater treatment, as well as laboratory analysis. These make up what we call our operations budget. We also have a depreciation plan so that we can anticipate the useful life of the facilities and equipment and replace them before they fail. Funds for expansion and large replacement projects are put in what we call the capital budget. Our capital budget receives a portion of the rate revenues, and over time this account will have sufficient funding for constructing new sewer infrastructure, such as a system at the facility to achieve temperature compliance, as well as funding the sanitary sewer main replacement program. The City of Moscow is working hard, investing and planning ahead to improve and maintain our infrastructure for future generations. Utility rate studies are the mechanism through which we ensure that we are providing the most efficient, economical, and sustainable wastewater treatment system for our community, and that we are fairly assessing our customers the cost to provide that system. Thank you very much for listening.
Hello, I'm Thompson, the Compliance Coordinator with Moscow's Environmental Services Department. I'm here to talk to you about the city's commercial sewer rate structure, including current rates and how those were established, the 2 parts of billing rates and how they interact, the differences between Moscow's wastewater treatment facilities and those of our regional neighbors, and some changes being proposed as part of the 2020 utility rate study. The current sewer rates in Moscow are based on recommendations from the second comprehensive utility rate completed and adopted in 2013. At that time, individual sewer rate classes were evaluated to determine if they generated sufficient revenue to cover the cost of operating, maintaining, and repair and replacement of the city's wastewater systems. The 2013 study revealed an existing annual rate deficiency of $1.1 million in 2014, increasing to $2.5 million by 2020. Rate adjustments were recommended and approved by the Moscow City Council at that time to cover this shortfall. There are 8 different commercial sewer rate classes in Moscow. The 2013 study found that for several classes, including restaurants, revenue was not meeting cost of service requirements. Restaurants are significant because with very little industrial and manufacturing activity in the city, restaurants and other food service establishments are among the most significant contributors of commercial pollutant loading in the conveyance system and at the water reclamation and reuse facility. The difference in cost of service comes from the higher levels of total suspended solids, or TSS, and biochemical oxygen demand, or BOD, found in wastewater generated by restaurants. In fiscal year 2013, the total cost of service to restaurants was calculated at 3.9% of total, while revenue from the restaurant class only covered 2.33%. Sewer bills are comprised of two components, the base rate and the consumption rate. The base rate is a fixed monthly charge that is applied to each class to ensure a stable revenue source, so that the basic functions of the wastewater division are able to operate on a regular and sustainable level. The consumption component is calculated based on the volume of wastewater contributed by the individual customer to the system. Each base and consumption rate vary based on the calculated loading or pollutant levels of each class. The two rates combined must meet all of the current cost of service needs plus future funding requirements. The 2013 rate study approved by the City Council provided a funding plan designed to close the funding gap through fiscal year 2020. For the restaurant class, this meant that both the base and consumption rates were increased by 39.3% in fiscal years 2014 and 15, then at an annual rate applied uniformly to all classes. The base rate for fiscal year 2020 is $309.92 per month, and consumption is $6.96 per 100 cubic feet, both of which align closely with the projected rates. The adjustments adopted in the 2013 rate study have successfully brought revenues in line with the needs of the system. Beginning in early 2019, staff began evaluating options for a simplification of Moscow's multi-tiered structure. We gathered information from a number of regional utilities and worked with FCS Group, the city's consultant for the 2020 rate study, to identify alternate rates structures that could still meet the needs of Moscow's system while adding mechanisms to further assure an equitable disbursement of the cost among the users of the system. Apple-to-apple comparisons between communities can be very difficult, as each municipality has unique requirements specified by their individual U.S. Environmental Protection Agency issued National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, or NPDES permit. Moscow discharges much of its treated effluent to Paradise Creek, which is classified as impaired for E. coli, temperature, and phosphorus by the EPA and the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality. In order to comply with the permit requirements and to legally discharge to the creek, Moscow's Wastewater Reclamation and Reuse Facility is a state-of-the-art operation which uses biological nutrient removal and advanced tertiary phosphorus filtration. These kinds of treatment processes may not be necessary in other municipalities, leading to significant disparities in cost of service. Rate studies are routinely conducted to help ensure that the utility is meeting evolving demands and distributing the cost in an equitable manner across all customer classes. With the 2020 rate study, staff is recommending a fairly comprehensive update to the commercial rate structure utilized by the city. The goal is to strike a balance between revenue stability and equity. The first of these recommendations would be to restructure the commercial rate classifications from the current 8-tier system down to a 3-tier system: commercial low, commercial medium, and commercial high. This change is designed to simplify processes at all levels for the customers, developers, inspection staff, and utility billing. The different types of uses are being evaluated to determine the level of wastewater loading generated by each use in order to determine the appropriate classification. This will help ensure that similar contributors are charged accordingly. This new classification system also shifts the rate structure to focus more heavily on consumption charges than on base rates. This shift will help assure that those who create less system demand see a commensurately lower rate. This will be particularly impactful in the commercial high class. It will result in lower monthly sewer bills for those with lower consumption and will better reflect a customer's actual loading on the system. Finally, we are examining the most effective way to assess and charge mixed-use customers. In order to further the goals of simplification, all future mixed-use accounts would be charged at the highest use rate for all consumption. This is designed to encourage metering of individual spaces, especially if there is a variation between classes in a single building. Some existing buildings with multiple commercial uses connected to a single meter may be extremely difficult to modify. For those existing customers, a weighted model will be used to estimate the contribution of each user class. Potential incentives for those who want to meter each use accurately may include allowing remote read meters to be installed inside the building and waiving general facilities charges for a specified period of time. Modifying sewer billing rates can have significant impacts on both the business community and the city's sewer department. Many establishments on the low end of water consumption will see significant financial relief, while those that contribute more to the system will bear a more proportionate amount of the cost of delivering the service. In order to further the city's goals to encourage new investment in the community and to support existing establishments, commercial accounts will be assessed at sewer rates which ensure that equity is maintained between those generating similar levels of loading. An additional benefit of this update is that it will help encourage water conservation and compliance with the city's fats, oils, and grease reduction program. Staff anticipates that an appeals process will be established that will be available to any commercial account customer who feels that their business has been miscategorized. We're excited to bring this proposal forward and are confident that this proposed structure can help us better meet the needs of our customers without sacrificing our ability to responsibly maintain the utility system for all of Moscow's users.
Hello, my name is Mike Parker and I am the Water Utility Manager for the City of Moscow. I would like to take this time to tell you about our public drinking water system. Our water production and distribution system continually delivers safe and clean drinking water to our residential and business customers. We employ robust water conservation efforts and participate as a partner on the Palouse Basin Aquifer Committee, PBAC, to secure a long-term sustainable water supply for our customers. The first drinking water well and components of Moscow's distribution system were developed in the late 1800s. Since those early days, Moscow has made a considerable investment in a modern, efficient public water system. As you may suspect, there are a number of regulations and oversight in the operation of a public water system. We work closely with the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality to assure that we are always in compliance with the Idaho rules for public drinking water systems. Moscow draws its water from an aquifer system known as the Palouse Basin. Water production currently consists of the operation of 5 groundwater wells which draw water from 2 distinct underground aquifers, the shallow aquifer known as the Wanapum and a deeper aquifer called the Grand Ron. We have 2 wells that draw water from the Wanapum system and 3 others that draw water from the Grand Ron system, with a 4th well expected to come online in late 2020. To protect these water sources, the city has implemented best management practices designed to protect the wells and the areas that surround them. Our drinking water distribution system is a network of approximately 100 miles of pipe ranging in size from 1-inch service lines all the way up to 24-inch water mains. We operate 6 booster pump stations that increase pressure or maintain pressure along with meeting fire flow. We have 4 finished water storage facilities with a total capacity of 4.7 million gallons that help us meet system demands, including fire flow. We also maintain and operate over 2,600 valves, 950 fire hydrants, and read and service over 6,000 water meters. The maintenance and operation of the production and distribution systems require state-certified, highly trained operators and a lot of specialized equipment. Conservation in Moscow is very important. As discussed earlier, we rely entirely on 2 aquifers for our water supply, the Wanapum, the upper aquifer, and the Grand Ron, the lower aquifer. This aquifer system is also the sole source of water for the University of Idaho, the City of Pullman, Washington State University, and other surrounding users. These aquifers have steadily declined since they were first tapped in the late 1800s. This makes conservation absolutely imperative. As responsible stewards of our natural resources, it is very important that we all strive to conserve as much water as possible, To this end, the City of Moscow has a progressive conservation program offering rebates, free water-saving devices, and resources along with information. We have also developed a program to provide education to our schools regarding the importance of water conservation. In 2016, the City Council adopted the Water Conservation Program Plan, which includes rebates to provide incentives for customers to retrofit to low-volume toilet fixtures, as well as program which rewards customers for converting an irrigated lawn to a Yscape or a low water use landscape. Since 2016, approximately 800 toilets have been replaced, which has resulted in an annual water savings of approximately 5 million gallons per year. During that time, approximately 65 households have taken advantage of the Lawn to Yscape incentive, which has resulted in approximately 90,000 square feet of turf removal and approximately 700,000 gallons of water savings annually. The Water Department has been making operational changes to drinking water production and distribution over the last several years in order to lower system pressures and flow, which decreases water main leaks, maintains aesthetic water quality, reduces the need for filter backwash, and minimize water main flushing. In order to maintain water quality, it is necessary for maintenance crews to reverse water flow through the system filter media in order to flush out contaminants, a process called backwashing. In 2019, the department reduced filter backwashing by approximately 5 million gallons, or the equivalent of the toilet program water savings to date. By controlling system pressure and flow while maintaining water quality, the city has reduced annual water flushing by approximately 15 million gallons annually. Combined with reduced backwash needs, the department saved 20 million gallons in 2019. Not only is this a significant amount of water savings, it reduces the impact on well pumps and the distribution system. In 1992, PBAC proposed a groundwater management plan for the basin. The plan included voluntary pumping limitation targets as well as continued pumping and water level monitoring and research, which involves hydrogeologic characterization and alternative water supply options. In March 2017, the PBAC consultant team completed the Palouse Groundwater Basin Water Supply Alternatives Analysis Report, which identified the most promising water supply alternatives. PBAC continues to refine the alternatives toward a goal of selecting a viable alternative or a set of alternatives to help position PBAC's water supply project in the Idaho Department of Water Resources' future water project funding cycle. When determining the cost to operate the water utility, we have to consider the cost of routine maintenance and operations, including pumps, hydrants, valves, pipes, meters, etc. This makes up the operation and maintenance, or O&M budget. We have also developed a depreciation plan as we plan for the systematic replacement of facilities and equipment. Funds for expansion and large replacement projects are put in what is called the capital budget. Our capital budget receives a portion of the rate revenues, and over time this account will have sufficient funding for constructing new water infrastructure, such as the completion of well number 10 and 2 new booster pump stations. The City of Moscow is working hard by investing in our water system and planning ahead to improve and maintain our infrastructure for future generations. Utility rate studies are the mechanism through which we ensure that we are fairly assessing our customers the cost commensurate with their use of the system, and which provides sufficient revenue to offset the cost to operate and maintain the water system. These costs include operation, maintenance, capital improvements, and billing and collection procedures. The proposed rate structure must be designed to provide the financial resources to meet these system needs in a fair and equitable manner.
Thank you for taking the time to view this video and for your support as your City of Moscow utilities keep working to provide our customers the safest, most efficient, and cost-effective services possible. Thanks again.